Imagine a life just completely woven into the history of a nation, a life marked by war, by art, profound loss, but also this incredibly unyielding personal. Today, we're doing a real deep dive into the journey of a true Israeli icon, Yehoram Gaon. That's Yehoram Gaon. His name is just synonymous with the cultural pulse of Israel.
Absolutely. And our mission today really is to get beyond just the headlines of the sources you've shared. We want to extract the most important, sometimes really surprising insights into his artistic drive, his philosophy, and those moments that really shaped his unique path.
Okay, so let's start. Our journey into his life begins maybe unusually, not with the birth date, but with this really visceral, almost terrifying memory. Wartime Jerusalem, 1945.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about this frantic run with his father, from Beit Hakerem to Mahani Yehuda Market.
Yeah.
And the scene he paints, thousands of people, all in black, like a black river, he called it,
Wow.
crying out, Shema Yisrael, in, total despair.
And the context there is just crucial, isn't it? This wasn't just vague wartime fear. This was real. Germans advancing from El Alamein, Axis forces potentially closing in from Turkey.
Right.
People were genuinely bracing for what he called a Masada-like end, that historical symbol of a desperate last stand.
A heavy start to life.
Incredibly heavy. He literally calls himself a child of war. Says his early years were one great darkness.
And you have to think, that early immersion in existential threat, that understanding of vulnerability, it must have become a source for his art later on.
It almost had to. He didn't just see drama, he lived it.
Exactly. It helps you understand how he could later tap into such deep emotion in his performances. The line between his life and his art feels very, very thin sometimes.
And despite that darkness, his view of Jerusalem itself was, unique, almost surreal. He called it a city of madmen.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
He described seeing a man just pacing endlessly, another guy conducting an invisible orchestra in the street. It's such a vivid, theatrical image of his childhood city. It really is.
Yeah.
But amidst that, he also got this powerful early taste of actual theater.
Right. The whole class, dressed in white shirts, going to the Edison Cinema.
Seeing these landmark plays like A View from the Bridge, he walked through the fields.
And he talks about his own reaction, crying, smiling, laughing, a whole emotional journey just sitting there in the audience.
It's striking, isn't it, how those raw emotions from his childhood, the fear, the surreal sights, seem to flow right into his artistic development.
Yeah.
It's like feeling deeply was his first language. And that became, his superpower as a performer.
Absolutely. And the seeds of his own performing, they were sown really early, too.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about this magic moment. First, or second grade, dressed as a high priest, singing for the whole school.
And suddenly realizing all eyes were on him.
Yeah, that magic spark, something electric, but then the parental influence.
Very. His father, Moshe David Gant, a formidable figure, a teacher to the teachers, they call him. And he writes this stern letter to Yehoram's school, detailing his academic problem, even copying assignments.
Imagine getting that letter, specifically asking for stricter supervision.
Yeah, quite the pressure. And it's fascinating because this critique comes even while his father resisted the idea of him being an actor.
Right. The paradox.
Exactly. It suggests this deep desire for his son to excel, but maybe only on his terms. Or perhaps it fueled Gaon's own lifelong self-criticism, that feeling he could have done it better.
That need for his father's approval.
Could be. It likely became an internal standard for him. And then, on the other hand, his mother.
She had this intuition.
A strong belief he must be a rare actor, even though she didn't really want it for him either.
So you have these dual pressures, war trauma, performance emotion, parental expectations, all swirling together.
Absolutely. Shaping his path, making it both thrilling and really challenging from the get-go.
So yeah, his path to the stage wasn't exactly direct.
Not at all. High school, he was actually on track for military intelligence.
Studying Arabic 19 hours a week, that's intense.
19 hours. Plus Islamic studies, Middle Eastern politics. He was even giving political lectures to his classmates based on newspapers.
Preparing for a totally different life.
Completely. Yeah. Shows that intellectual side, that discipline, which probably served him well later in his art. But yeah, he was close to a very different future.
Until his friend, Eliza Rosen, got into the Nahal military.
The Nahal band, yes. A real incubator for Israeli talent.
And he was instantly captivated, told a friend, I want to be where they are.
And then came that audition.
Audition. He remembers tripping on the stairs, legs shaking, such a vivid image of nerves.
Yeah, but he performs this powerful monologue, King Saul, by Chernyshkovsky.
Followed by the song, There's a Far-Off Place Beyond the Sea. He must have impressed them, despite...
Clearly. But his parents still weren't convinced about acting.
Especially his father. Felt it wasn't respect compared to being...
Exactly. And here's the real irony, or maybe the complexity.
Yeah.
After all that disapproval, his father attends his first public performance and gives him these incredibly specific, critical notes.
Like professional notes. His laughter was manufactured.
Straighten his back, don't look hunchback, fix the hoarse throat or he'll be thrown off stage.
Wow. Direct feedback from Dad.
It's pretty intense. And you wonder, like you said, did that resistance, that tough critique actually forge his resilience, his drive?
It could have. Like learning from the toughest critic imaginable.
Maybe. Because it implies a recognition of talent, even if grudgingly, alongside this demand for perfection. It's a crucible, really.
Definitely a crucible. But then right as things are starting to happen professionally, tragedy strikes.
Yes. While he's with the Nahal band in Jaffa, the news about his father's death.
The first major loss in his family, said he thought it was a bluff, a lie.
That initial denial, it speaks volumes about the shock, the bond they had, despite the disagreements.
He refused to go back to the band at first, said his world was destroyed.
Utterly overwhelming grief, combined with the pressure of this new career. It's the kind of thing that forces you to reassess everything. Your priorities, your mortality. We see echoes of that later.
But then Uri Zohar steps in.
Uri Zohar, iconic figure. He visits Gaon during the Shiva, that 7-day mourning period.
And convinces him to return to the band?
Yeah, apparently by promising him stardom there, contrasting it with just singing in a neighborhood choir, a powerful pull for a grieving young artist.
But even with that validation, the stage fright was intense.
Oh, yeah. He talks openly about throwing up with Eric Einstein before shows.
That constant fear of losing what you've already achieved. Profession.
It really is. And he also mentions Numi Polani's influence, her directing style for the military bands.
Groundbreaking, he called it, making every song an illustration.
Yeah, that was revolutionary. Before her, it was mostly just singing. Polani turned every song into a mini-drama. Movement, staging, emotion. It became theatrical storytelling.
So it really shaped his idea of performance.
Profound. So you see this mix. Grief, ambition, stage fright, Zohar's push, Polani's vision. It all forged his resolve. His understanding of performance as deep emotional communication, even when terrified.
Okay, so after his military service, he forms the Tarnagolim.
Right, and they hit it big almost immediately. Standing ovations.
And that leads to the actress Yila Almagor spotting.
Recommending him for the Camara Theater. Kenneret.
He was apparently just in awe performing alongside established theater stars.
Must have been intimidating. And he also talks about the culture shock moving from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv.
Yeah, admitting it took him till age 20 to even look a girl in the eye there. It tells you a lot about his upbringing.
It really does. That Yerushalmi identity, someone from Jerusalem, and it's distinct. More traditional, maybe more religious, compared to the faster, more secular vibe of Tel Aviv back then.
That clash of cultures becomes
a recurring theme. That tension between his roots and his career.
And that identity plays into the next chapter too, right? The Yarkon Bridge Trio.
With Eric Einstein and Benny Amdursky. Iconic.
They started just singing on stairs.
Apparently. And ended up drawing crowds away from the official act. Shows their charisma.
And the name came from a joke.
Yeah, if you're Gaban, I'm Einstein. Playing on their names. Captures that playful energy they must have had.
He tells that story about London, the BBC show.
Ah, yes, with Benny Amdursky demanding payment in terrible English.
And only their trio got paid.
Classic Benny Amdursky, from the sounds of it. A bit of pragmatic grit beneath the artistry. You needed that sometimes.
They were incredibly close with Eric Einstein during this time, weren't they?
Over about 5-6 years, yeah.
Yeah.
He calls them the tightest quartet with their partners, Nurit and Alona. A really foundational friendship.
But then it shifted profoundly.
Yeah. Gaon, the Yerushalmi, felt increasingly uncomfortable with the Tel Aviv scene. The parties, the disconnected laughter, as he put it.
It wasn't just about social preference for him.
Seems like it represented something deeper. A disconnect from his values, maybe. A different emotional frequency. So he withdrew.
Leading to that 40-year silence with Eric Einstein.
40 years. It's staggering. And he says he still has no explanation for it.
It's incredibly sad, especially how it ended.
With the journalist calling, saying Eric wanted...
And then Eric dying so soon after. That missed chance.
He expresses such deep regret. It's a reminder of how personal choices, even subtle shifts, can cause these huge, lasting rifts. And the silence leaves this unresolved scar.
A heavy price for following your own path sometimes.
Indeed. The human cost can be immense.
So after this period, he goes to the U.S. to study acting.
Right, the Burgos studio. For a year and a half.
Yeah.
But he felt really isolated there, like an alien.
That experience, that intense training, combined with feeling like an outsider, what impact do you think that had right before he came back for Kazablan?
That's a great question. I think the Burgov training, being so rigorous and outside his usual Israeli context, probably honed his craft in a fundamental way. Coming back, maybe feeling more strongly Israeli because he'd been away, and with those refined skills, it likely gave him the sheer confidence to demand the Kazablan role without an audition.
That was a bold move.
Very bold. And Kazablan, what a phenomenon.
He describes the character as representing Israeli reality, especially the pain of Mizrahi Jews.
Yes, Jews from Middle Eastern and North African backgrounds. Gaon himself wasn't from that specific background. He mentions his family coming from the neighborhood that all its residents became street, meaning a respected Jerusalem area.
Right, where people were honored with street names,
Right.
a different kind of status.
Exact. But his portrayal resonated deep. It tapped into this collective experience, giving voice to a part of society that often felt overlooked.
The musical ran for 606.
An enormous success.
Yeah.
Then the film, directed by Menahem Golan, by Million. Golan warned him about the fame, didn't he?
Yeah, girls chasing him for autographs. Intense.
And that fame connects directly to the next very difficult chapter.
Pia and
Starring with her in Yuri Zohar's film, Every Bastard.
he mentions Zohar's directing style. Taunting act, demonstrating scenes better himself.
Yeah, sounds controversial. Making the crew laugh, then challenging the actor. High pressure.
And Pia Angeli, beautiful, modest, captivating everyone, including Gaon. He admits he fell in love with her.
But their expectations were completely misaligned.
Fundamentally, she wanted to stay in Israel, build a home, marry him. He even took her to meet his mother, a big...
But he saw it as a film romance, intended to marry a Jewish woman.
She took it seriously, though, became distressed. He had to rush to her hotel at night
And then he asked his brother...
to personally take her to the airport, an extreme measure to ensure she...
So drastic.
And then her suicide a year later, dev for him.
He talks about a producer, Passional, wanting to exploit it for fame because her room was full of his photos, which Gaon refused vehemently. But he called it a nightmare, said it haunted him for years, made him avoid serious relationships, married.
It really raises that question, the personal cost of fame, intense collaboration, how private decisions in crisis moments cast incredibly long, tragic shadows.
Absolutely. It shaped so much for him afterwards. It's a profound and haunting aspect of his story.
Yeah. Moving on from that, though, his philosophy on acting.
The masochist idea.
Yeah, that every actor is somewhat of a masochist. Finding pleasure in the suffering, the director's yelling, even bad rude friends.
It sounds paradoxical, but maybe it speaks to that relentless dedication, that drive for authenticity that's almost painful.
And he never rests on his laurels, always thinks he could have done it better, never fully enjoys the success.
That constant self-criticism again, maybe linked back to his father's critique. It became his internal and preventing complacency. It fueled his output.
Definitely. And that drive carried into later work, too, like the sitcom Crow.
Close relative. He called it the best sitcom, portraying Israeli reality, the good and the bad.
And his character's hypochondria just came from a box of pills left on set.
A great example of just finding something gold in the moment, right? Creative improvisation.
Through all this, 70 albums, 900 songs, he insists he hasn't changed musically.
Haven't moved a millimeter, he says. Never chased new style. Believes sticking to his unique style proves its value.
It's a bold claim, calling his works masterpieces, immortal pieces, arias, saying, I created my eternity.
It really speaks to this deep conviction in his artistic path, doesn't it? A deliberate choice to trust his own voice against changing fashion.
So what does that mean for his legacy?
I think it signifies profound self-belief. In a world always chasing the new, his consistency is a statement about integrity. He's not just a performer, he's kind of an institution built on his terms.
And that dedication consumed his life. I don't entertain myself at all, he says. His profession is a 24-hour...
A broad hobby that took over everything, which maybe explains some of the personal complexity.
Like marrying at 37 to a 17-year-old.
Yeah, and having to appeal to the Supreme Court because the lower court initially blocked it due to her age, waiting a year.
That shows incredible determination for that relationship.
It does. A testament to the intensity of his feelings then, pursuing his passions, personal or artistic, with that singular focus.
He has 2 kids, Moshe David and Ayala. Admits he wasn't an ideal father.
Because of the constant performing, the travel. He tried to compensate with gifts, everything but a real jumbo jet, he joked.
But acknowledges something was missing back then, even though they have great relationships now. The trade-offs of that life.
Absolutely. The sacrifices are clear.
Now let's touch on his shifting views on this. Is quite striking.
It really is. He used to be involved accompanying rabbis to treaty signings in Egypt. Oslo suggests hope, engagement.
But after October 7th, a dramatic change.
Completely. He now calls it a religious war, states flatly there will be no peace as long as Muslims view the land as holy.
And says, we don't need to be here. If we want to be here, we need a scepter. That word scepter implies power, authority, maybe even dominance.
It's a strong statement. Reflecting a viewpoint rooted in the need for security through strength. He even says he's at an age where he doesn't care what's very candid.
What's fascinating is that stark evolution, isn't it? From participating in peace initiatives to this conviction.
Exactly. October 7th seems to have triggered a fundamental ideological shift for him, moving from seeking coexistence to believing the conflict requires unyielding resolve. It mirrors a hardening perspective you see in parts of Israeli society now.
It shows how national trauma can reshape even deeply held beliefs.
Profoundly. He's not just sharing an opinion. He's describing a transformation in his core understanding.
And as he looks back now, he talks about his phone being full of names of friends who've passed.
Yeah, and the fear of forgetting their voice, contemplating his own mortality. Very human.
But on a happier note, he's been with his current partner for 50
calls her my whole world. She came to Israel for him, moved by his song, a relationship lasting twice as long as his marriage.
And he's still performing, still fighting for the audience's love, looking always forward.
Waiting for the next call, the next rehearsal, the next show, insisting he means what he says, that authenticity endure.
So there you have it, an incredible journey, Yehoram Gaon. From wartime Jerusalem through artistic highs and lows, friendships, losses, this relentless drive.
That unwavering commitment to his artistic voice and his honesty, even when his views evolve so dramatically.
Which leaves us with a thought to consider. What does it really mean to create your eternity through art, through an unchanging style, when your life involves such deep shifts in relationships and even your political?
Yeah, and how do those incredibly personal experiences, the public ones and the very private, keep shaping not just an artist's legacy, but their most fundamental, sometimes unapologetic beliefs about the world right up to the present day?
Something for all of you to mull over.